League of Legends lore narrated. Qiyana. The youngest child in a ruling family, Qiyana grew up believing she would never inherit the high seat of Yuntal. As her parents governed Ixalcan, a city-state hidden deep in the jungles of Ixtal, they raised their children to succeed them, schooling them in the proud traditions of their isolated nation. Primed to rule before her, Qiyana's 9 older sisters received most of the attention, and she often longed to find her own meaningful place in the family. That place became clear the day young Qiyana began to learn the ancient elemental magic of Ixtal. Soon after she took up lessons, she realized she was blessed with extraordinary talent. Though Qiyana was only 7 years old, she mastered advanced techniques within weeks, while some of her older sisters had yet to grasp the basics after years of study. One by one, Qiyana surpassed her sisters in the elemental arts, and the more she progressed, the more resentful she became. Why did her parents waste so much effort grooming her inferior siblings? Each time they were chosen to preside over the grand rituals that shrouded Ixtal from the outside world, Qiyana lashed out in frustration, picking fights to prove her worth. It wasn't long before Inessa, the eldest sister and immediate successor, became the target for Qiyana's aggression. Rather than defusing the conflict, Inessa bristled at the disrespect from her sister, who was 12 years her junior. As both grew older, their words became increasingly heated, culminating in physical threats from Inessa and a challenge from Qiyana. They should decide who was the strongest in ritual combat, for all of Ixalcan to see, and for the right to succeed their parents. Inessa accepted the challenge to teach her sister some much-needed humility. When the contest was over, Inessa was never to walk again, while Qiyana stood unscathed. She was eager to take her place as the rightful heir, but Qiyana's parents were furious at her actions. They denied her the prize. Tradition decreed that Qiyana would always be 10th in line to inherit the high seat of the Yuntal. Though the news was bitter, Qiyana soon discovered that the duel had made her elemental prowess known across all of Ixalcan. At last she had found what had long eluded her: respect. That respect quickly became an addiction. Qiyana felt a burning need to be recognized for her exceptional skill. In fact, all of Ixalcan should stand proud with her and put the world in its place with their powerful elemental magic. Instead, they were hiding from foreign explorers and miners who were uprooting the jungle on their borders. In her parents' court, Qiyana laid out her ambitions to drive off the miners and restore the lands. Qiyana's parents rejected the idea. Contact with the Outlanders would bring hatred, war, and disease, jeopardizing what their dynasty had protected for centuries. Qiyana stewed, impatient to prove her strength to the world, and determined to prove her parents wrong. Acting against their will, Qiyana raided the mining site, killing all the miners but one. As the man's eyes shone brightly with fear, Qiyana knew he would spread her message. He would tell everyone in his Piltover about the grand elementalist who destroyed their mine. In Ixalcan, Qiyana gladly took credit for the slaughter, infuriating her mother and father. They told her Piltovan merchants were sending fresh miners and armsmen into the jungle. Qiyana's parents would not risk their insubordinate daughter drawing even more outlanders toward their borders, and regretfully ordered her imprisoned for her crime. Just as she was detained, several elementalists of the court came to Qiyana's defense. The elemental talent displayed in the jungle was unheard of, and they convinced her parents that Qiyana should aid them in powering and defending the city. Qiyana was released once she swore renewed fealty to her elders and vowed to never cross paths with an outlander again. As a growing number of admirers throw their support behind Qiyana, she has finally realized her true place in the world. She holds a power stronger than tradition, and she will climb the ladder of succession by any means necessary. She is the greatest elementalist the world has ever seen. She is the inevitable ruler of Ixalcan and the future empress of all Ixtal. Qiyana's short story, Fit to Rule, by John O'Brien. "I'm starting to sweat, Baal. Please, do not let me sweat." Qiyana's servant fretted at the words. He mustered what little control he had over the elements, concentrating on forming a magical cloud of mist. In seconds, the mist surrounded Qiyana and grew cooler, dispelling the heat of the jungle. "That's better," Qiyana said. "If I am to do this, I must be able to focus." She began to swivel her umlotl slowly around her body, causing the jungle thicket to bend in part with each rotation of the ring blade. Roots and stems popped, tossing up bits of soil until, at last, a narrow trail revealed itself in the bush. "Here it is," Qiyana said, and promptly started down the winding path. With each twist of her umlotl, the thick vines of the rainforest receded before her. Behind her, they slithered back across the path to conceal it. Bayal fell behind just enough to be caught in the growth of the writhing plants. "Keep up, Bayal," said Qiyana. "Honestly, you have one task." The servant hurdled the freshly grown thicket, struggling to catch up to Qiyana and to maintain the temperature of her mist cloud. When the two finally emerged from the forest, the sun had sunk low in the sky, its golden dusk light shining on a small village. Qiyana took one last look behind her to see the secret path was now completely buried in the jungle. 3 village elders greeted her with a respectful Ixtali salute, arms held tightly across their chests, and led her into a plaza just inside the settlement. At the far end of the plaza, a great Piltovan machine sat lifeless and defeated, spoils from a recent skirmish in the jungle. Qiyana paid it little mind as she took the seat presented to her at a small table, modestly set with fruits and nuts. "To what do we owe this honor, child of the Yun?" asked an elderly woman, leaning forward to get a better look at Qiyana. "I have heard the news of your prefect's passing. You have my condolences," said Qiyana. "Killed by the Outlanders," said an old man, pointing at the Piltovan machine to his rear. "Tried to stop one of those from felling trees for their mine." "So I was told," said Qiyana. She sat perfectly upright as she arrived at the purpose of her visit. "It seems that T-Crest needs a more capable governor, one who is strong enough to stand up to the Outlanders and their toys," Qiyana said with confidence. "Someone like me." The elders turned to each other, confusion showing through their weathered faces. "But, Yunalai, respectfully, we already have someone like you," said the old woman. "Your sister is here." "What?" fumed Qiyana. As if on cue, a procession of local servants marched across the plaza toward Qiyana. 4 of them carried a palanquin on their shoulders. As the palanquin came closer, Qiyana could see a plush bed, several fine silk pillows, and her sister Mara, reclining with a goblet of wine in her hand. A silver tray of exquisite dishes rested beside her, and 2 servants cooled her with elemental magic far stronger than Bayal's. As Qiyana wiped a bead of sweat from her brow, she glared bitterly at her servant. "Qiyana, so good to see you," said Mara uneasily, as her palanquin came to rest on the ground. "Mara, you seem to be enjoying yourself," said Qiyana. Mara squirmed under her sister's penetrating stare, seemingly trying to retreat into the plush bedding. "Would you care for some wine?" offered Mara, as she took a tense, joyless sip from her goblet. "You're supposed to protect this village, not empty its larders," said Qiyana, declining the drink. "You should step down. Let me be prefect." Mara froze as she forced wine down her rigid throat. "I cannot do that," she said. "You know this. I am older than you." "A whole year older," replied Qiyana. "Yet so far behind." She approached her sister's bed, her smug expression slowly transforming into a scowl. "I say this only as a statement of fact. You know it is true. What would happen if these miners discovered this village?" "I would defend it," said Mara meekly. "You would die. So would everyone in this village. This we both know," said Qiyana, for everyone in the plaza to hear. "I can protect them." A murmur spread about the plaza. Mara bit her bottom lip, something she had done since childhood, particularly when her younger sister had gotten the better of her. "I cannot give it to you. The Yuntal will not allow it," said Mara timidly. "They will if you resign," said Qiyana. "Go home to Ixaucon, tend your water garden. I will assume your responsibilities here." She watched Mara's eyes dart around at the elders, as if looking for some way to save face. "The law is clear," said Mara. No one else may be prefect, as long as I am capable of governing. Clenching her jaw in anger, Qiyana turned toward the great machine resting at the far end of the plaza. She spun her omlatl around her body, startling the elders from their seats. Drawing elements from all around the plaza to the blade, she launched them toward the machine. In an instant, the great metal behemoth was entombed in ice, battered by rocks and ripped apart by vines, all at the command of the young Unalai. The elders and servants on the plaza gave an audible gasp at the display of power. "You think you already have someone like me," said Qiyana, "but there is no one like me." The elders frowned at her, reaffirming the decision. "As long as Unalai Mara is capable of governing, the position belongs to her." The words rang in Qiyana's head as she turned and silently left the plaza, dejected. She led Bayal back to the edge of the village, where they were met by 2 elementalist wardens. "No need to see us off," said Qiyana. "I know the way and what to do with it." With a turn of her omlatl, she parted the brush to reveal the path that led back through the jungle. With her servant struggling to cool her, she walked back toward the grand arcologies of Exalcon, uncovering the secret path and recovering it behind her. As soon as they were out of sight of the village, Qiyana's omlatl slowed. Behind them, the path was now unconcealed, lay bare in the late-day sun. "My Unalai, you've forgotten to cover the path," said Bayal. "Bayal, does your one task have anything to do with tending the path?" asked Qiyana. "No, my Unalai, but what if someone finds the village?" "Not to worry, I'm sure the new prefect will defend it," said Qiyana. The following morning, Qiyana awoke in Exalcon to the sound of sobs. "Outlanders! They found Tigris!" Her sister's cries came from the hallway outside her bedroom. Qiyana put on her robe and opened the bedroom door to find Mara, weeping in Bayal's arms. "Mara, what's the matter?" asked Qiyana, making some effort to sound concerned. Her sister turned to her, red-faced and trembling, covered in scratches from running through the jungle. "The miners! They leveled the village! Half the people are dead! The other half are hiding! I barely escaped!" Qiyana embraced her sister, suppressing a smile over her shoulder. "Do you see now? I was only looking out for you," said Qiyana. "Being a prefect is a dangerous responsibility." I should have listened. You would have crushed the Piltovans," lamented Mara. "Yes, I would have," said Qiyana. She beamed as she thought of the miners and mercenaries that had plundered the village, how easily she would slaughter them, and how the surviving elders would grovel in thanks to her as they came to the same realization her sister was now reaching. "You should be the prefect of Tigris," said Mara. "I should," thought Qiyana. "I deserve it." For more League of Legends lore narrated videos, as well as my own stories, make sure to subscribe and click that bell button. You can also check out my art at my Etsy store page, as well as my Twitter. And make sure to click on that Patreon link if you want to help support me. Thank you!